I am Dr. Mark Lee. Welcome to our channel. Today, you are about to discover why a cheap kitchen seed is being compared to a powerful diabetes drug, what actually happens inside your body during prediabetes, and the hidden mistake that could be quietly pushing your blood sugar higher every single day. But more importantly, you will learn what truly works, what does not, and how to take back control before it turns into something far more serious for you. If you've ever been told your blood sugar is just a little high, not diabetes, not yet, just something to watch, let me ask you something. What if that quiet warning is actually the loudest signal your body is sending? Because here's the truth most people never hear. Prediabetes is not a waiting room. It is not a harmless middle ground. It is a process already in motion. And right now, inside your body, things are already changing. Your insulin is working harder than it should. Your cells are becoming resistant. Your metabolism is slowly losing flexibility. And the shocking part? Most people feel completely normal while all of this is happening. Now stay with me, because what I'm about to say might surprise you. There's a growing claim spreading fast online that a cheap seed, something you might already have in your kitchen, is more powerful than metformin. Yes, more powerful than one of the most prescribed diabetes drugs in the world. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, wait for it. Because the truth behind that claim is both more interesting and more important than the headline itself. And if you're over 50, dealing with rising A1C, stubborn belly fat, energy crashes, or brain fog, this could change how you think about your health entirely. Now, before I reveal the seed, let me ask you something simple. Have you ever looked at your blood test results and felt like you were missing part of the story? Numbers without meaning, warnings without clear direction. You're not alone. And that's exactly why this matters. Because today, we're not just talking about a seed. We're talking about understanding what's really driving your blood sugar. Now, let's reveal it. The seed is called fenugreek, small, slightly bitter, often ignored, used for centuries in traditional medicine, especially in South Asia. But here's where things get interesting. Modern science didn't ignore it. Researchers started asking, can something this simple actually affect blood sugar? And the answer? Yes, but not in the way most people think. And this is where we need to slow down, because this is where most videos mislead you. Fenugreek is not more powerful than metformin. That statement is an oversimplification, and believing it blindly can actually put you at risk. So let's separate fact from hype. Metformin is one of the most studied medications in metabolic health. It works by reducing how much sugar your liver releases into the bloodstream. It improves insulin sensitivity, meaning your body uses insulin more effectively. And in people with prediabetes, it can reduce progression to type 2 diabetes by about 30%. That is significant. That is real. Now, here's the twist. Fenugreek works differently. And this difference is exactly why people get confused. First, fenugreek is rich in soluble fiber, and not just any fiber. This type forms a gel inside your digestive system. And that gel slows down how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream after a meal. Translation? Fewer spikes, more stability. But here's the shocking part. Those spikes are often more damaging than people realize. Because every time your blood sugar spikes sharply, your body releases a surge of insulin. And over time, that constant demand wears your system down. Now, second, fenugreek contains a compound with a complicated name, 4-hydroxyisoleucine. But here's what you need to know. It may help your body release insulin more efficiently, especially when blood sugar is high. Not randomly, not dangerously, but in response to need. And third, there's evidence that fenugreek may slightly improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells respond better to insulin. Now pause for a second. Does that sound powerful? Yes. Does it sound like a replacement for medication? No. And that distinction is everything, because here's what most people miss. It's not about choosing between natural and medical. It's about understanding how your body works. Now let me explain something that becomes critical after 50. As we age, we naturally lose muscle. This is called sarcopenia, and here's why that matters. Muscle is one of the biggest places your body stores and uses glucose. Less muscle means less capacity to handle sugar. At the same time, your cells become more resistant to insulin, so your body has to produce more just to keep things stable. And over time, that system starts to strain. Now add poor sleep, chronic stress, less movement, and suddenly, prediabetes isn't surprising. It's expected. And this is why no single food, no supplement, no seed can fix everything. But here's where it gets hopeful. Because small changes, done consistently, can create powerful shifts. Let me tell you a story. I'll call her Samina, 67 years old, retired teacher, disciplined, careful. She avoided sugar, switched to whole grains. walk regularly. And yet, her A1C kept rising. 5.8, 6.1, 6.3, and that's when her doctor mentioned medication. Now here's the interesting part. She didn't reject it, but she felt something was missing. She wanted to understand, not just manage. So we looked deeper, and what we found wasn't obvious at first. Her meals looked healthy: oatmeal in the morning, rice at lunch, fruit in the evening, nothing extreme. But the pattern was constant glucose elevation. Her body never really came down. And that is something most people never realize. It's not just what you eat. It's how often your blood sugar stays elevated. So we made small changes, not drastic ones. We added protein earlier in the day. We adjusted meal timing. We introduced short walks after meals, even 10 minutes. And yes, we added fenugreek, 1 teaspoon, soaked overnight, taken before her largest meal. Now wait for it. Within weeks, her post-meal spike started flattening, not dramatically, but consistently. And consistency is what changes outcomes. 3 months later, her A1C dropped to 5.9. Not cured, not reversed, but improving. And more importantly, sustainable. Now here's the key point. Fenugreek didn't do that alone. It worked because it was part of a system. And that's where most people go wrong. They look for one solution, instead of building a strategy. Now let's talk about how to use fenugreek properly, because this is where details matter. Most studies use between 5 to 15 grams per day. That's roughly 1 to 2 teaspoons, often soaked overnight. Why soaked? Because it improves digestion and reduces bitterness. Some people use powder, others use capsules, but whole seeds provide more fiber and more metabolic benefit. Timing also matters. Taking it before meals, especially higher carb meals, seems to have the strongest effect. But here's where you need to be careful. Fenugreek lowers blood sugar. That's the goal. But if you're already taking medication, combining both without guidance can push your sugar too low, and that's dangerous. Symptoms like dizziness, sweating, confusion, they're not rare. They happen. So this is not something to experiment with blindly. It's something to discuss. Now here's another layer most people don't expect. Fenugreek can affect digestion, bloating, loose stools, even a distinct body odor in some people. Not harmful, but noticeable, and it can interact with medications, especially blood thinners. Again, not a reason to avoid it, but a reason to use it wisely. Now let's go back to that big claim, more powerful than metformin. Why does that idea spread so fast? Because it taps into something real, a frustration, a desire for control, a hope that something simple can fix something complex. And that hope is completely understandable. But here's the truth. Real metabolic health is not built on shortcuts. It's built on patterns. And once you understand those patterns, everything starts to make sense. So let me give you a simple framework. Think of it as 4 pillars. First, reduce glucose spikes. Not eliminate carbs, but reduce sharp rises. Second, improve insulin sensitivity. Movement is key here. Even a 10-minute walk after meals can make a difference. Third, stabilize your meals. Protein, fiber, healthy fats, working together. And fourth, use targeted support. That's where fenugreek fits, alongside things like magnesium and omega-3s. But remember, support, not substitute. Now here's a question for you. When was the last time you checked your blood sugar after a meal? Not fasting, after eating. Because that's where the real story is. Most people never check, and that's why they miss what's actually happening. Now before we close, I want you to do something simple. Before your next doctor visit, write down 3 things: your medications, your daily routine, and one question at the top. What is driving my blood sugar right now? Not years ago, not in theory, right now. Because when you answer that question, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer, your strategy becomes sharper, and your results become predictable. Now, if this opened your eyes even a little, share it with someone who needs to hear this, because so many people are told this is just aging. And the truth is, it often isn't. And if you want to understand the next piece of the puzzle, you need to watch what happens to your blood sugar in the morning, even when you didn't eat anything. Because that surprise changes everything. Your body is not broken, it's responding. And once you understand those responses, you gain something most people never do: control. Real, measurable control. And that is where everything begins.